How's it going? Welcome to the next segment. Now we're going to discuss equipment. What do I use? Do I use CDs? Do I use vinyl? Well, the correct answer is you can use either one. A lot of cats have a lot of vinyl hanging around. Even though a lot of people like to believe that vinyl is gone, if you live in a metropolitan area or even somewhat metropolitan, I guarantee you can find some record shops around with a lot of good stuff in them for your needs. If not, there's a bunch of websites online where you can easily buy vinyl for reasonable prices. One that I like the most is called thesourceformusic.com. You can find virtually any type of DJ vinyl you want in that store, and they carry a lot and their prices are very good. So you want to do vinyl. We're going to assume you want to do vinyl in the first scenario. Okay, so you want to do vinyl. So what kind of turntable do I use? Well, in my opinion, and in probably like most DJs' opinions, you gotta use the best. Even if you can't afford it new, get one second hand, and that deck is the Technics 1200. You can get a variation. You can get a Technics 1210. They have a couple variations. Just get something in the Technics 1200 line. I can't recommend them enough. They've been around for, God, probably 30 years now, maybe even more than that. And they're virtually bulletproof, maybe even literally. I know a guy bought one in like 1989, and it's 2007 now, and he's still using the same decks. No lie. No problems. Never had to get it serviced. Nothing. Just amazing. They're direct drive turntables, which brings up another important point. Beginner or not, don't ever get belt drive turntables. You might be lured in because the prices of them are cheaper than direct drive. They use a rubber belt on the motor, which has very low torque. Low torque is not good for DJs. That controls the startup speed of the platter. You're going to get a much tighter, much quicker response when you hit the play-pause button when you're using a high-torque direct drive turntable. Not to worry, if you get a Technics 1200, their entire 1200 line is direct drive, high-torque, quartz-driven motors. And a magnet, by the way, controls the direct drive turntables. If you absolutely can't afford a Technics 1200, either new or used, Vestax makes some pretty good turntables, but I would go with them second next to Technics. The only other one I might recommend might be a Newmark TTX. Newmark, I can kind of go either way with Newmark. I've had some good experiences with their products, and I've had some bad experiences with their products. I'm split down the middle on them. But as far as turntables go, just think Technics. You'll have nothing to worry about. Now, second scenario. Well, say you have a lot of CDs already, and you're not really concerned with scratching so much, but maybe you are. And if you are, there are a lot of options with CDs decks as well. Don't think that just because you don't have a turntable you can't scratch, because believe me, they got a lot of nice scratching decks out on there now. Some of them come damn close to sounding like a turntable, let me tell you. You want to do CD decks? You have two choices. You can either do the 19-inch rack mount, which is two decks in one unit. It's got a control unit on the top, which is 19 inches, which has the control interface. And then it's got the actual CD unit on the bottom where the drives slide out. Generally, you would mount them in a case, and you would put the control unit on the top side of the deck, and then you would put the CD unit on the bottom side. A lot of wedding DJs like to use this style because it's fairly compact in a case, and you can mount all your equipment in the case. You can mount an amplifier underneath if you want. Pros to them is that they're generally cheaper. Cons to them are if you have an equipment malfunction, you're up shit creek without a paddle, because guess what? That whole deck is going down. Now, If you don't mind spending a little more money, you can get what I normally use now is tabletop CD decks. There are many, many different types of tabletop CD decks. Pretty much all the major manufacturers make them now. A lot of them have large jog wheels with scratching capability. If it were up to me, I would stick with 2 brands and I would do nothing else. Like I said, this is a no BS tutorial. Granted, it is my opinion, but I've also taken the input of a lot of other DJs, and the general consensus is that Pioneer and Denon make the best CD decks. If you ask any experienced DJ, if I'm going to do CDs, what brands do I get? All the good ones will tell you Pioneer or Denon. Those are the top 2. They are the kings of the DJ CD world. The CDJ 1000 by Pioneer is the de facto standard in clubs now. It's not cheap. The new Mark III, CDJ 1000 new Mark III, is going to cost you about $1,000 brand new. Try and get it secondhand if you can. That's if you have a big budget. If not, you might want to check out Pioneer CDJ 800, which is basically a slightly cut down version of the 1000. Full scratching capabilities, same scratching algorithm on that deck. That's more like $500 as opposed to $1,000, so you can cut it pretty much in half. Very similar. I use the 1000, but you know, I've been doing this for a while, and I don't fuck around anymore with the decks. But Denon also makes good decks. My backup decks are Denon DNS 3500s, which are full scratching decks. They actually have a real direct drive motor on the top with a spinning platter. The platter actually moves like a turntable, and they've got their own scratch disc, and you can do spin backs and anything you can imagine on those. Those run anywhere from $500 to $600 a piece, and they're very nice decks. Pretty much, no matter what your budget is, if you want to do CD decks, if you stick with the Pioneer or the Denon line, you really can't go wrong. From my experience, I have found them to be the very best brands for CD decks, and I don't go myself with anything but. And there you have it. There you have my rundown of vinyl, and you have my rundown of the CD decks. Later on, we'll go into where you can buy all this stuff, but in the next chapter, I'll go over mixers.